So we finally have it. We now have an actual AI agent that is fully accessible to the regular person. So I'm talking about OpenAI's new operator. That's the terminology that they're using for an AI agent. So what is this AI agent specifically? Well, let's look at exactly how they describe it. He stated that operator is an agent that can go to the web to perform tasks for you. Using its own browser, it can look at a web page and interact with it by typing, clicking, and scrolling. It's currently a research preview, meaning that it has limitations and will evolve based on user feedback. Very cool. So yes, this is the agent, meaning that it's going to do things for you on your behalf. You just have to prompt it in the right way, and it'll go through and actually do multi-step actions. And that's the key, meaning that it can go through and do more than just one thing, more than just give you a search result, more than just answer a question, but no, it can actually physically go through and do multiple things. So how does this do this exactly? Again, within their website, it says, as far as how Operator works, it says that Operator is powered by a new model called Computer Using Agent, Q, combining GPT-4o's vision capabilities with advanced reasoning through reinforcement learning. Q is trained to interact with a graphical user interface, the buttons, the menus, and text fields people see on a screen. So this is the real interesting thing, is that it is able to actually interact with whatever page that it's on because it's using its own browser. So that's a key thing to understand. It's not going to be using your browser. It's using its own browser up on the cloud. So it's doing that remotely. It's going in and then it's going to different pages based off of what you're asking it for. So here's some examples as far as what they demonstrated within their recent video talking about this.
So excited, just want to show you a demo. I'll hand it over to Yash.
Great, thanks Sam. Hi, I'm Yash. I'm going to start with something fairly simple. I'm going to use OpenTable and say, book me a table for 2 at Beretta tonight at 7 p.m. Okay.
And so you specifically chose OpenTable.
Yeah, in this case, I'm asking Operator to use OpenTable to book a table for 2 at Beretta. Beretta is a restaurant in San Francisco. It's great. You should try it out. And at 7 p.m. And I'm using OpenTable in this case, but I could have easily said, just do Beretta, and it would have probably gone to search engine, figured out how to make a reservation as well. But let's see what it does.
So can you explain what's happening in this?
Yeah, right. So I'm going to expand this a little bit. So as soon as I typed in the query, Operator instantiated a completely remote browser. This browser is running in the cloud somewhere. And as you can see, it's already up and running. And my hands are off the keyboard. I'm not typing these things.
So this is just the AI's clicking around.
AI is just clicking around. It started this browser session. It knew where OpenTable website is, which is opentable.com. As you can see, it's summarized chain of thought here as well, which is it's gone to the URL, searched for Beretta. And something cool really happened, which is for some reason, OpenTable thought we were in Virginia, and it auto-corrected itself to San Francisco. This is using, so like ChatGPT, in Operator, you can also give custom instructions. Okay, looks like 7 p.m. isn't available, but you know what? 7:45 is just fine. So we're going to go do that. So in this case, Operator came back, and this is a really good example of task delegation where Operator needs help or needs assistance or just wants to ask you something. It'll just come back and you answer that
So
query.
in practice, you wouldn't have had to watch this. You could have just let it go off while you're doing other things. Then it would come back and say, hey, I can't do 7:45.
Totally.
Yeah. Great.
And we're starting with a web app. You'll get notifications, etc. When Operator moves into mobile, you'll get mobile notifications, much like interactions we do with general apps. Yeah, I love groceries. So I've been using Operator to shop all my groceries. I love to cook quite a bit. And I have been using Operator exclusively for groceries. So I have a shopping list here, which is this one. Let's see what it is. Eggs, spinach, mushrooms, chicken thighs, chili crunch.
And so this is a picture that you're uploading here.
That's exactly right. And I'm going to use Instacart, which is, again, what we use generally. Can you buy this for me, please? And I'll also specify the store I like, which is, well, let's see if he figures out I mistyped it, but let's see. Okay, so in this case, again, Operator quickly actually recognized using GPT-4o's vision capabilities to understand that the image said egg, spinach, mushroom, chicken thighs, and it actually knew Gus's Market. And I'm like, yes, that sounds great. Cool. Again, just like OpenTable, it instantiated a browser, and it's going to go ahead and start doing tests. I'm going to expand the view, and let's see what it does.
So in both of these cases, you've said what you want it to use. If you just say, buy me these groceries and don't specify Instacart, what happens?
it will do a search, use a search engine, much like we do, and it'll find, Instacart or Gus's directly website or whatever else is on the search engine, go through that, ask you questions if it needs clarifications, and go from there. So what I can do at this point, and I'm going to just click this button called Take Control. So this remote, as we were talking about, like operator fires up this remote browser to do it. We almost think of it as a surface area where operator can work and then I can work. For example, in this case, I took over control from operator, which is also key to sort of how we think about user and user controls. Like at any point in time, a user should be able to take control and give operator instructions or tell a little bit more, guide a little bit more, etc.
It's like passing the laptop back and forth, just like you did with Ray.
Totally, exactly right. Just like, in this case, I'm gonna make those two, and then I'm just gonna tell operator. This is again like very much like if you and I were working, I'd be like, hey, I did this, can you fix this? And I'm gonna tell operator, I added another egg, good to place order now.
Now, as far as their videos are concerned, I didn't really like it because it shows some really mundane tasks, right? It's like, how many times do you need to make a reservation, or do you really need it to go through and put things in a grocery cart for you? Maybe you do. Maybe there is some business applications for this as well in a larger term. But for me, I didn't like these examples. The only good thing about it is that since they are somewhat simplistic examples, it really highlights what it can do. It went to a website and it went through multiple steps to do things for you. The reservations, it put in specifics as far as what you asked of it, and then it was able to do it. And when there's issues or problems, you see how it prompted and said, hey, is this what you want? Is this not? Now, there are limitations on this, and the website lists several different things that it's doing to limit things because this is brand new. This is the first time. This is the first time that it's being made available in this format, right? Because we had agents before, but you needed to know code and you needed to use several different programs. This puts it all together in a very simple interface, and it even has shortcuts where you can say, oh, go directly to this website. So I'm going to use these pre-put together little things that I can use, right? Whether it's for groceries or booking, whatever. So it has those shortcuts in there. And again, it also has sort of stopping points where it asks for your interaction. Now, of course, the whole point is that we don't need to interact with it because the agent can just do things. But for now, they are putting limitations as far as like, oh, spending money or sending sensitive information through an email, something like that. They're putting in place, at least for now, specific stops where it requires you to interact. But of course, that's going to be modified. I'm sure in the future that'll be an option once this becomes more of a thing that is usable for other people. Now, as far as the usability is concerned, right now it's only for the premium subscribers, right? So those who pay $200 a month, and there are people out there paying it, so those people have access to it first, and then it'll go to the pro users. Now it goes to the pro users. Will it ever come to the free users? Maybe, maybe not. It's not for sure. They haven't indicated that they will. My thought is that they probably won't, but that's okay because I think that there will be plenty of competitors that will have this. And that's the big thing. OpenAI, ChatGPT, they're the leaders. That's kind of known, right? And now since they've done this, now all the other AIs are going to need to compete. They're going to need to step up their game. So I fully see that Google, I would think, would be the next big one coming out and saying, hey, we already have full integration with you with Gmail. Now we'll have these agents that can do all sorts of things with you. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I think that's going to happen. I think that's the next place that we're going to see that happening. So we can look forward to that. And then there might be some other ones coming from maybe Copilot will include this somehow, or Claude might make their agentic system super simple for us to be able to use as well in the free tier. We'll see. Now, I want to talk about actual use cases because that's the big thing, is that it's still sort of convoluted as to why I would need this. I wouldn't use it for booking a reservation. I like to see what it is that I'm actually reserving. I like to look at the options. That's me personally. So let's look at some other specific use cases where this would make more sense. So I want to break this down as far as use cases within business and the regular world in general. So that's one. And then talking about academia. So how can we use this within teaching itself? And then also how can we use this within learning, meaning how are students going to use this? So let's look at some different use cases here, some different possibilities. I like this idea about logging into a customer relationship management platform, updating client profiles with the latest contact information from an attached spreadsheet, and then generating a report of incomplete entries. So this would be powerful because I could give it content through a separate spreadsheet. I could upload that, and then I could tell my agent to use that to do these other steps and then give me a finished product. So that has lots of implications as far as many different ways that it could be used in that way. Another idea is to have the agent log into a support dashboard, identify open tickets with high priority, and then draft personalized responses for each ticket based on the customer's issue. So you can see how now it's doing different tasks that I would be doing if I was this customer support specialist. It would do some of those tasks for me, saving me time, and then I just do the final aspect of what needs to occur in order to fulfill my job. So that I think is going to be a powerful part as far as how businesses are using it to automate certain tasks, but then the final aspect or the more complicated thing can still be done by the human. So lots of different manipulations as far as how this will be used to really manage and enhance efficiencies. Okay, so those are some aspects of using it within business or using it in the general world. But what about teaching and learning? So let's look at teaching specifically. One aspect of this is that we could use it to reduce some of the manual things that we do. Again, we really need to think about this as multi-step processes. So I could have it log into my learning management system, go to a specific area that I would tell it to go to, and then do some action for me. Lots of possibilities here, right? One would be entering grades. So some learning management systems, all the grading is done in there. The university I work at, we don't do it that way. We do some aspects there within the learning management system, but then we have to go to another system and actually input grades. So I could have it where it would go in there, input all the grades for me, like for every single student, matching it up properly, and then I would go in, verify it, and then submit. That would save me a lot of time, to be honest, because that requires a lot of meticulous looking and verifying. But this would at least accomplish a good 70% of what I need to do. I would still verify, of course. So that's one thing. Other things that I do some room scheduling. If there's a special event or something special that our class is doing outside of our regular classroom or outside of regular classroom hours, if I'm giving a special presentation, well, this could automate that by telling it, just go there and find me what I'm looking for. So that would save me a little bit of time there. So that's a possibility. But there's more. There's more possibilities here as far as how could we use it within academia. We could have it go to multiple different websites, gather information for us, and then put it together in a certain way so that we can use it either for presentation, for research, for all sorts of different possibilities. I'm also really interested in the idea of it going through and being able to access my learning management system for, let's say, I have a troubled student, right? I could have it go in, access what they did for certain assignments, put it together as far as, hey, this is what you've done overall. Here are some issues, and we need to work to try and improve your grade. Something like that. It could draft that all up for me. And then now I can go through, view it, verify it, and then submit that email. So that could save me a lot of time. And I could do that even more than I already do because I'm able to be more efficient with the way that it puts it together. So there's lots of possibilities here. Talking about the research in general, research for your class, but then what if I'm just conducting research? This can help me a lot because it isn't this aspect of me just saying, hey, tell me about this. No, I can say, I want you to use this website specifically, whether that's Google Scholar or a specific database for research that I'm into, and go in and do searches for what I'm looking for. Put together summaries for each one or an overall summary or compare this to that. Remember that this can do multiple steps and then give me information. And this can be going on at the same time. So I could have different agents doing different things. Lots of possibilities here with creating content, with helping you, with putting things together for your teaching as well. So a lot going on here. Now let's think about learning. How could our students use this for the learning process? Now, as a student, I can use it in many different ways. So some good ways that I could use it for is to help me with research. Let's say I'm doing an essay. I could tell it to go to these specific websites, put information together for me, create summaries for each one, compare it to this other information, look at the rubric. So again, multiple steps for it to do, for then to save me time in going through this. Now I know there's going to be an argument as far as like, well, no, we want the student to do those specific steps. Okay, well then you would need to tell your student, hey, I want you to do this. Don't use an AI for this, and hopefully they'll listen. But this is one way that they could do it. Other things is when I complete an assignment, I could tell my AI, hey, submit this for me. And it would know because I gave it prior instructions as far as what learning management to use, what course this is in, the specifics associated with putting it in there. And I could even tell it, hey, take a screenshot of when I'm doing this so I have it as a reference or I have it as evidence that I did submit this. Lots of different possibilities here. Now, of course, students could use it for good or for bad. So we have to think about now that it's automated, this automation aspect of what agents do, and the fact that it can do multiple steps using multimodality because it can see things. As a student, I could say, hey, go into my learning management system, right? It would have my username and password. Go to this module, go through each part of the module, download all the information, look at it, read it, then go in and take the test at the end of that module and make sure that I get a 92%, let's say. It could do all that. Why? Because remember, now it's looking, now it can take action, it can download, it can review this, it can go through and put in, select A, B, and C. It can do all that because now it has that multimodality where it can actually read that. So because of these things, we need to ensure that we are using effective pedagogy and effective instruction to, we're not going to be able to prevent the use of AI, but so that we can properly ensure that we are thinking about it and incorporating it in the right way. I've talked many times before about my share technique, where we're using different ideas to help ensure that the student is using AI appropriately and we're teaching effectively as well. So one of the things would be that we would ground content, meaning that there would be lots of things going on in the class, and we would refer to that as part of the questioning, as part of the assessments, meaning that if we had something like a special presenter, well, then our questions would be geared towards that, meaning when the presenter talked about XYZ, what did the presenter mean? Or what did you interpret this? Or when we had a demonstration in class about this, what were the results? Things that an AI wouldn't necessarily fully understand. So the idea here is that you ground the information, you make it in such a way so that the student now has to be more active in the actual presentation of their knowledge of what they're doing for those assessments, as opposed to just ABCD about questions and knowledge that an AI would already know. So that's the idea of grounding the information more specific to your course. So that makes it a bit more difficult. The student has to be more involved. Also be thinking about aspects as far as, well, let's use more video assignments or video turn-in or presentations in class, more things that would hold students accountable for their learning, as opposed to just having them use an AI to fill out everything because of this hygienic capabilities. So that's just the big thing that I want us to think about here when we're talking about students and their learning, is that we need to hold them accountable for what they really know. That doesn't mean that we don't want them to use AI, because we do for certain things. Why? Because now let's go full circle and go back to how businesses are using this. If a business is using this, then that's going to be what that business is expecting that student to be able to do when they get the job there. So we need to ensure that we're developing their capability to use agents. What about managing agents? If there's a bunch of agents that a student needs to use in their job, they need to learn that capability. They need to learn that skill. So we need to be thinking about, okay, how can we incorporate, how can we have them use agents to do something, because we want them to learn that skill, that process as well. So there's a lot to think about here. Yes, this is great, cool, powerful new stuff. Yes, things are always changing, but don't worry, we'll get through this together. The big thing to understand here is that although it isn't fully accessible by everyone, you have to have the big paid description or subscription. This will become more and more available as competition increases. I think this is going to be available through Google soon, if not Claude or one of the others. So keep your eyes open for that, and we'll develop. If you've started to use agents already, perhaps you have a subscription, or if you're starting to think about maybe other cool use cases for this, please let me know. Please put it in the comments so that we can all learn from this and start to gain a better understanding of how this could really be used to enhance teaching and enhance learning and to better prepare students for what's going to be expected of them when they graduate. All right. Thank you, everyone. Please like and share. And as always, remember that learning is for life.